In this video, we're going to get you started with your JackBord. We're going to show you how to charge it, how to connect to the internet, and how to get onto the dashboard. And then we're going to make a driving robot. After the video, for more activities and more information about the JackBord, visit jb.works and at the search prompt enter the TMT code shown at the top of the screen. At the bottom of that page, you'll find a link to lots more activities and things you can do with your JackBord. Okay, the first thing you'll do when you get your new JackBord is obviously you'll want to charge it. It comes with a USB-C cable, so that's this end, and this end plugs into the JackBord just below the power port here. And then the other end plugs into a tablet charger or your phone charger, basically any USB charger that will fit this kind of plug. So we're going to plug our USB into the charger, which in my case is a computer. Then take the other end and plug it into the JackBord. Now just make sure that the JackBord turns off before you do this, although when it arrives it will be. You plug it in and the JackBord will turn on. And basically the JackBord, there's no point in having the JackBord turned on while it's charging, although you can if you want. You can use it while it's charging, but basically we want to turn the JackBord off, so to do that you just press the on-off button here by the power port. And then leave your JackBord to charge for a few hours. In order to use the JackBord, it needs to be connected to the internet. So what we're going to do next is get the JackBord to connect to your Wi-Fi. And for this you're going to need the charged JackBord and the USB charging cable. The instructions for this process are contained on this sheet that came with your JackBord. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to plug in the JackBord to your computer. So this can be a Chromebook, a Windows PC or an Apple PC, it doesn't really matter. So the first thing you're going to do is take this end of the USB cable and plug it into your computer. And then you're going to take the other end and plug it into the JackBord's USB port, which is just below the power port. And what will happen is the JackBord will turn on automatically and it will start flashing purple and then green. And what that means is that the purple indicates that it's trying to connect to the Wi-Fi, and the green indicates that the battery is charged. And the reason it's flashing the green after the purple is because we've got the cable plugged into the PC and the battery is actually being charged by the computer. Before you begin, just note that in order to use the JackBord's dashboard, you'll need to have a Google account, for example a Gmail account. And secondly, the JackBord can only use 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi. 5 GHz is not supported. Now that the JackBord is plugged into your computer, you need to open either the Google Chrome web browser or the Microsoft Edge web browser, because these two browsers let us connect via the USB port to the JackBord. And once you've opened them, visit the URL in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, which is jb.works/setup. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on the Connect USB button, and then from this list just choose the USB port that your JackBord's connected to and click on Connect. And the program is going to connect to the JackBord, and now it's done that. And so what's happened here is that it's now showing us a list of the wireless access points that the JackBord can see. And so these are ones that you can actually use. So you choose the one you want to use, so in this case it's tree, and then over here you enter the password of the access point. And then click the OK button. And the program will then send the Wi-Fi access points details to the JackBord, and the JackBord will reboot and try and connect. And this process can take anywhere up to about a minute or so. And there we go. So now the JackBord is connected to your Wi-Fi, which is great, and it's connected to Tree, and it will soon show the signal strength. And then if you look at the JackBord itself, the activity light is now flashing white and then green. And what the white means is that the JackBord is connected to the internet and it's connected to your Wi-Fi and it's ready to be adopted. If you have any problems, click on the troubleshooting button and this gives you the solution to some common problems connecting to Wi-Fi. Now that we are connected to the Wi-Fi, the next thing is to visit the dashboard, which is where we'll adopt the JackBord. To do this, click on the dashboard button. Once you log in with your Google account, and you need a Google account to be able to log into the dashboard, you'll be presented with a dashboard, which is this page here. So we have a personality. So first thing we need to do is we need to create a personality that we can then use to adopt the JackBord. So I'm going to click on the plus button and I'm going to call it Hello JackBord and go create. So now we have a personality called Hello JackBord. The next thing we need to do is adopt the JackBord. And what this does is it lets us associate our JackBord with this personality. So I'm going to click Start Adoption, and then I'm going to enter the factory ID of the JackBord, which is right here. So in my case, it's 10E0. It's these 4 digits at the top here. So 10 capital E0, and click Next. Now what's going to happen is the JackBord, you'll see it start flashing a series of colors. So white, blue, blue, yellow. So over here I go white, blue, blue, yellow. And that's the color challenge. So now I click OK, and it says success. And now the JackBord will reboot, and when it comes back, the activity LED will start flashing blue. And what this means is that the JackBord is connected to the internet, and it's also been adopted successfully. And voila. So basically the personality has gone green, which means that we are successfully adopting it. We've successfully adopted it and it's connected. And if you notice on the JackBord, the activity LED is now flashing blue. So now if I click on the board online or play button here, it brings me to the JackBord's command page. Now that we've got our JackBord connected to the internet and adopted on the dashboard, let's make a quick project, which is going to be a driving robot. To make the driving robot, you're going to need a charged JackBord, 2 drive motors left and right, 1 front trolley wheel, a plate that you'll use to mount the trolley wheel on, 8 M4 bolts, 8 M4 nuts, an Allen key, and a multi-spanner. Okay, so let's start building. So I find that it's helpful if we just look at where things need to be overall. So basically the front trolley wheel is going to be at the front, left drive motor, right drive motor, and the JackBord's in the middle. So on that basis, first thing we'll do is we'll mount the left drive motor. So the easiest way to do that is to just left hand side of the JackBord and take 2 bolts and just insert them up through the holes with your left hand and use your right finger here just to hold them in place so they can't fall out. And then the next thing we do is take the motor and just mount it on the bolts like that. And finally, we just need to get a couple of nuts and put them on. And then kind of hand tighten them. And when it's approximately lined up and that looks like it's in the right place, just use the spanner to tighten them a bit. They don't need to be very, very tight, but just slightly tight, so it can't move. So that's our left wheel mounted. So we're going to do the same thing for the right wheel, except we're going to use the left finger to hold the bolts in place. Like that. So that's the left finger holding the bolts in place, and then you take the motor, which is the right motor, and put it into the slots. And then we just, again, add the nuts. and just make sure that it's lined up reasonably well. So the motor should be parallel with the edge of the jackboard. And then we just tighten them up. Again, they don't need to be really, really tight, but just tight enough so that it can't flop all over the place. Okay. So this is our 2 wheels mounted, left and right. So for the motors, to connect them to the jackboard, the first thing we'll do is take the left motor, and you see it's got a red cable and a black cable, red wire, black wire. So we plug it into the left motor slot on the jackboard here, over here, but in such a way that the red wire is on this side and the black wire is on this side. And the left motor plugs on this side of that port, okay? And then for the right hand motor, same thing. So we've got a red wire and a black wire on the left, and so we plug it so that the red wire is on this side. And you've got these little labels here on the motor ports that match. So plug that there. So that's our left and right motors connected. So the next thing we need to do is connect up the trolley wheel. So the first thing we'll do is, again, just insert some bolts. So you insert it from one end from either side, one slot in from either side. So you should have a single hole in the middle. And then again, using my left finger to hold the bolts in place, and I put the trolley wheel plate on, do the nuts. And we just, again, tighten them up. Don't need to be very, very tight, just tight enough that they won't fall off. So that's the mounting plate for the trolley wheel. And now finally, this is our trolley wheel. So we want to mount that onto the front here. So again, you take 2 bolts and use left finger to hold them in place. And then we just put them through the front plate here and put the nuts on. And just tighten them up. And there we go. So now that's our complete robot. So basically we've got the left drive motor attached to the left side of the jackboard, and the right drive motor attached to the right hand side. The left motor plugs into the LM connections on the port E, and the right motor plugs into the RM or right motor connections on port E. And finally we have our trolley wheel, which is connected to the jackboard on the front near port B using these nuts and bolts. So this is our complete robot. Have a look underneath. Have a look at these pictures and compare them with your robot to make sure that you've got everything in the right place. This picture shows the left drive motor, and that's connected to the, or near the power port. This picture shows the right hand drive motor, and that's connected on the right hand side next to port E. This picture shows the front trolley wheel, which goes up at the front of the robot near port B. And this picture shows the motor drive connection. So you've got the 2 wires that come off each motor. This is how you plug them into the port E. And notice that on the right hand side of the screen you've got the left motor, left hand side of the screen you've got the right motor. And both of the red wires on both connectors are pointing towards us and are next to the red stripes against each one of the labels. And finally, this is the finished robot. Now that we've got the robot built, turn it on, and having adopted it in the dashboard, click on the play button. And to drive the robot, we're going to go to the drive page, which is accessed by clicking the drive link, and this is the drive page. So you can drive the robot using the arrow keys on the keyboard, and you can also use the joystick to drive it as well. So now, all you need to do is go and have fun driving your new robot. Now that you've got your JackBord up and running, and you've got a driving robot, there are lots more things that you can do by visiting jb.works and at the search prompt enter the TMT code shown at the bottom of the screen. On that page, you'll find a link to all sorts of activities that you can do with the JackBord. Have fun! For more information, visit jb.works.